we were able to then play it back.
Okay. Sure.
Excellent, thank you.
So just before I run that order integration is the way that we achieve integration, and this sort of comes back into your specific requirements of having to handle this marketplace facilitator tax or withholding tax for Sage200, is instead of having a fixed integration, is that we have a completely dynamic integration platform. So if you've got specific requirements, we can build those rules into any integration very quickly. Yeah. So I'm going to log into our software. And sorry.
This tool's compatible with Sage 2011, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. So so that's the lowest version of Sage that we support.
Cool.
You know, so we support 2011 and up. Okay. So before I run the integration, I want to show you how we achieve the integration, because it's fairly integral for what you're trying to get. So what we have powering every single integration is an integration configuration. Yeah. So what you're looking at here is I'm going to say our out-of-the-box integration for Sage200. And what it's doing is obviously reading orders from Amazon. We're applying some logic to those orders or transformation, and then we're writing the order into Sage200. This bottom leg, you know, it's probably not part of a standard integration, because what this actually does, it creates any items in Sage200 on the fly. In case if we haven't got an item code within Sage200, we create it before we create any orders. And this is really for demonstration purposes, so that we can successfully integrate the orders if we haven't got the order item numbers there. But the key thing here is that under each of these nodes is a range of configuration where we can add things like rules, etc., to build up the logic to be able to pass the data into Sage200. Okay? So I'll come back, once I've run this integration, I'll come back and show you the Sage300 integration logic, and then I'll start to pick out some of the formulas that we have that we've done for the withholding tax, and I'll show you how we can implement that across into Sage200 and how you can administer it. So obviously you're not coming into the integration logic, you've got an easy administration screen to say, you know, there's a new state, it might be Alabama, for example, who's implemented this new tax. We want it to use a specific code, or we want to handle it in a specific way. We add in a field or a value to signify that this is a new state which has come online with this tax, so that you can do it easily at the point where the state starts to implement that. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to run the integration. So I go over to the scheduling area, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the integration on demand. So I'm going to pick the integration. Now, you would only, at least initially, just have the one integration, which would be the Amazon Sage200 order import.
Yeah.
And obviously, you've got the ability to run this on a schedule. So, you know, you may want to bring orders across, I don't know, once a day, twice a day, once an hour, for example. You can set those schedules up within iMan, and they can, you know, they will just run in the background without you having to log into our software to initiate the schedule. But I'm going to leave the frequency set to now, and I'm going to run the integration. And what this will do, it'll actually pick up from a certain point in time and say, okay, give me all the orders from my particular marketplace. Now, this is coming from a UK marketplace, but we have the ability to integrate with any Amazon marketplace. So whether you've got, European marketplaces, North American marketplaces, we have the ability to integrate with every single marketplace in the world. So in a moment, as you can see, this is starting the integration, and it's just going up to Amazon to look for any orders which from a certain point, because we maintain a last run date. So we go up to Amazon and say, okay, give me all the orders from, a certain time. So this can take a moment, and then once it's got all the orders, it'll attempt to process these into Sage.
How does the integration handle the Amazon throttling issues?
Okay, so essentially at the moment we are being throttled, because we can only make so many requests in a certain amount of time. So we are being throttled. I can tell that because it's sitting here, it's taking a bit of time. But hopefully, in about, I don't know, it might take a minute or so, that will pick up all the orders and process it through. So, we've had some customers. We've had a customer who did an accounting cutover from one system to another, and they had a large amount of orders to pull across, and it took all weekend.
Oh wow! Okay. But that's all down to Amazon, isn't it?
It is. It's absolutely. It's 100% down to Amazon, and there's nothing that we can really do to resolve that.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is processed through. So this is what you're looking at here is what's called the audit report. So this details everything that's pertinent to, the processing of that particular integration. So it said here that 26 orders processed. We were able to create 26 in Sage, and there were 0 errors. And then we've got the Amazon order ID followed by the Sage order number. Okay, so you can easily reconcile from this audit report, each of the orders which you think should have come in based on the criteria that we select to pull the orders into. So all of those orders were successfully processed. Now we do have a bunch of warnings here saying that the specified quantity exceeds the stock location that, stock available at the location. This is just a standard Sage200 error, and this is just saying that, we've ordered one, but there's no stock available, and I sort of know that because these are really, these are fake item numbers. These are fake item numbers, But if we pick up one of these orders, and you can see that this is an Amazon order because, we've got an Amazon order ID. So if I just jump across into one of those orders, and excuse me for the really, really small screen. I mean, this is a Sage issue, but this is one of the orders. You can see here that the customer order number has been populated. That is actually the Amazon order number. And then if we pull down into the item, we've got the code, the quantity we're pulling across the unit price, etc. So you'll see here that we're using a particular customer, and there are a bunch of other things on the item. We're just pulling across the delivery address, obviously. We're even populating the obfuscated email address down here on the email field. The carrier's just being populated onto an analysis code. So if you need that for shipping purposes, we can record that, whether that's in the carrier analysis code or some other field, we can do that. And we also have the ability to record the payment with the order if that's what you need to do. You know, some of our customers don't do that because the reconciliation is just too difficult. But then some of our customers do want to have the payment with the order. But that makes it a little bit difficult for when Amazon actually deposit the funds into your bank account, because it can be a while, it can be minus fees and things like that. Okay. So obviously, I mean, I could go through all of these. If you know, I can pick up another order number here. Just close off that one. I'm trying to actually find one with some shipping. How about that one? Now, this particular customer of ours does actually have very low value orders. Okay, I'm going to struggle to find one that's actually got shipping on it. Oh, that one might, yeah. So you can see here that we've got like the first item, and then we've actually got the shipping charges there. So we're just passing that through as a free text item. Okay. Yeah. And obviously the shipping charge is coming from Amazon as well. So that $5.95 there is coming from the Amazon shipping. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So there's to control the integration. You know, there's a lot of there's a number of parameters which can control the integration. So I'm just going to take you over to that to sort of run through some of the flexibility that we have. And this is not you know, what I'm going to show you isn't what we are limited to. We can build out any sort of logic within the integration. So if I go to the Amazon Sage200 settings and I just go down to the order things, I've got a flag here saying whether we should try to allocate the orders on import, and I've set that to false. I've got my warehouse for merchant fulfilled or FBA fulfilled. So if it's one or the other, we can set that. The orders are forcing the tax inclusive pricing, so I'm setting that to true. The shipment description, I'm adding in there. And then the nominal code, if we need to set the nominal code, you know, we're just forcing a value there. So we can build in, you know, those sorts of settings. So, you know, if you need to come through and say, okay, my FBA warehouse is no longer FBA, you know, it might be something else for whatever reason, and you say, you know, whatever it's called. And you can just change that there, and then the next time that the integration runs, that will change. That will pick up. In addition, we've got this merchant lookup. So based off your merchant ID, what we're doing is we're routing we can route each store to different customers, because typically when you're integrating with Amazon, if you're working with different marketplaces, you probably want to have like a Amazon DE marketplace, a UK one, a North America one. You know, simply, well, one of the primary reasons is to split them out so you can make your analysis quite easy, but also because they're different currencies as well. So what we've got is just a pivot table which says, okay, put in your merchant ID for that particular marketplace, and then it'll pick up that particular customer. So if I wanted to put in, say, you know, a different value, this might be whatever the merchant ID is. So this might be Amazon DE, and then you may have a customer in Sage200 called Amaz DE, and then that will route any orders which have been placed through that marketplace to this customer. Okay. Okay, so just to sort of round out the integration capabilities that we have with our Amazon connector before I move over to showing you how we can implement this marketplace facilitator tax, is that we have the ability to pull down the orders, as you've seen.
Yeah.
We can obviously upload the shipping confirmation records. So if you're shipping and managing the orders in Sage and you're recording, say, the shipment tracking information, we have the facility to take those shipments from Sage and to replicate them up into Amazon with the shipment tracking info. We have the ability to also upload available inventory from Sage to Amazon. And we also have the ability to automate prime orders. So we can do that by automatically generating the prime order shipping and generating the label and emailing that label to a particular mailbox so that it can be printed out and put onto the carton so that Amazon can pick that order up and ship it for when the collection comes. Okay. Do you have any questions on that? I know that I'm speaking a lot, but the Amazon integration can be a bit difficult simply because we don't really have a sandbox to be able to show you everything that we can do with any particular integration. So it is kind of limited to the order download that we have.
I can't think of any.
How does it split out the FBA orders with the standard drop shipment orders? So if we wanted them all processed through this tool, how would it split those out? Because the FBA ones, we don't actually need to do anything with. We've just got to record it. The drop shipment ones we'll actually have to fulfill internally.
Yeah, sure. So what we can do with those is that we can build in the logic to say, okay, anything which is FBA, we're actually going to pull through as both, we're going to pull through the order, then we're going to dispatch it, and then we can invoice it as well as part of one process.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you wouldn't need to do anything after that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And then would the drop shipment ones, would it just do like the first part of that then?
Correct. So it would just create the order and then it'd be up to you for you to go through like the dispatch step and then the invoice step.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if we wanted to keep the drop shipment separate, so we did those manually, can we do that, or would it just kind of automate everything?
What do you mean by manually? So you'd actually enter the orders manually?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we can exclude the dropship orders if you want that to occur. I'm not, yeah, obviously you've got some reason for doing that, so.
Yeah, I mean, just in case we wanted to, probably just.
Yeah, or is there a way of kind of notifying us which dropship orders have come in?
Yeah, so yeah, we can. So so that audit report that you saw just previously,
yeah,
this audit report, what we could actually do is add something onto this to indicate whether something's a FBA order or whether something's a MFN order, so dropship order.
Yeah, because I think that's what we need, because we'd need that extra, we'd need to know that which orders are which to do that extra purchase.
Yeah.
And we don't have loads of dropship.
No, we don't.
So that's why we may just continue to do it manually. But then, yeah, if you can build something in that would differentiate them.
And then just do the first part, then that would just save us time, because then we don't need to do that one step.
Yeah, I mean, we can build that into the audit report. That's not a problem. I mean, you've also got the ability to customize like your order list as well. So you could have some custom order list. So where's the default warehouse? Sorry, I'm not a Sage200 expert, so it may not actually be here. Where is it? Okay. Code, cloud storage URL, delivery. Come on. Okay. carry out. Okay. Maybe that isn't a value. But we could also populate, say, an analysis code, and then you can also put an analysis code onto your order list, and I know that that's definitely available. So down here, you could just say, you know, is this an Amazon dropship order? And then you can easily, you know, have a filter in which limits the amount of open dropship Amazon orders, and that way you can see them quite easily as well from within Sage. I think you can do that with 2011. I'm pretty sure it's there. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So, I mean, there's a couple ways to achieve that, but yeah, we can add that onto the audit report without a lot of difficulty.
Cool.
Okay. So do you have any questions over the Sage200 side? Because now I'm going to show you what we've done on this other Sage product. So if you wanted to go ahead with us, we'd replicate the logics to include that into the Sage200 order import that you have.
Yeah, I don't have any more.
The only question I've got, and I don't know if this is something you'll cover in a minute, is how does the tax show for the US? So at the moment, how we do it is we do it as an additional charge and just enter a value. So we're logging it.
So that's sort of what I was going to ask you, because you know, if I try to force for one, I can't force a tax value within Sage200 on a detail level, or even on a order level. Yeah. So if I just bring up one of the orders that I imported, you know, my VAT is calculated for me, both at a header level plus down on the detail level. So it's how do we actually capture that? So yeah, the only rational way would be to pass it through as either a free text line, as a negative, or as a additional charge. But that would be up to you to decide, and we would just build that into the integration logic. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, we've got it as an additional charge.
Yeah.
That's out between the marketplace facilitated tax and then with a separate tax for Tennessee because we have a warehouse there.
Yeah, so we've got the Tennessee Nexus.
Yeah.
So we're paying state tax in Tennessee.
Yep.
But then with this marketplace facilitated tax, it all varies. I think different times and cities in certain states, it will be at different levels.
Yeah.
So it kind of needs to be inputted as a value.
Yeah, sure.
Rather than percentage.
Yeah. So that's absolutely fine. So to show you what we've done with our other customers in the US, which seems to work for them. Let's make that a bit bigger. So what we have is a tax lookup code where we just store the states, because so far we've only encountered that it's on a state level. We haven't counted it down to the city level that implements these taxes, although I could be wrong, but we haven't had any calls about that.
I think it might vary, but I know it's a state, and then I think one town might charge, say, like 9.25%, and another might charge like 9.2%.
Yeah, okay, that might be right. The way that we've got this up. So what we've done is at least for these Sage300 clients, because we're a bit more flexible with this other product, is that we can specify the amount of tax on a detail level instead of having the accounting system calculate it. So what we've done is said, okay, any new state which comes on, so let's say Tennessee comes online. Tennessee. What we're doing is we're saying, okay, this is a taxable state, and then what we do is that we say, okay, if we're shipping to this particular state, we pull out the tax code, and then if we have if that tax code is a taxable tax code as opposed to a non-taxable one, which is 2 in this case, then we take off the marketplace facilitator tax from the price, because obviously we're not receiving that money from Amazon. They're taking that, they're deducting the tax at the point of sale, and we don't need to repay it. So we're removing the calculated tax from the price, and then we're passing that price into our accounting system, as opposed to the full sales price, which would include the tax. So the way that we're achieving that, and I'm going to dip into the integration logic here and show you how we're calculating it. So this is our Sage200 order import from Amazon. It looks similar to what you've got for Sage200. If we just go over to the field list, what we're doing is we've got, and I'm just going to show you some of this. We're just firstly doing a lookup into that lookup table to see if the particular state is taxable or not. Then, do we do anything here? Then at a later step, which is really the key one here, yeah, this actual price. So what we're doing is we've got a calculation which includes things like the discounts, etc. So if we're saying that the Sage tax code on the order level, i.e. one of those states has a, does implement this marketplace facilitated tax, then we're adding the price and the tax together, and then we're saying, well, if the tax collection model is marketplace facilitator and we've got that, then we're backing out the tax. Otherwise, the price is the price including the tax. Yeah. So we would.
And that's is it? It's not percentage based at all.
No, this tax value is the item tax amount. So what we would do is that we would basically have for every single item an item tax amount. Yeah. If the particular order was subject to this marketplace facilitator tax, we would have each item would have its own tax amount, and then what we would do, we would add some additional steps into your integration, which would add a line where we would enter the marketplace facilitator tax amount as a total.
Okay.
Yeah. And the way that we do that, you're looking at a fixed, well, I won't say a fixed integration, but you haven't seen me sort of alter it. I mean, as you've seen, double-clicking opens up the underlying configuration, but I can add in additional steps to, add additional rules and logic. So I would need to add in, after calculating the line tax, I would need to add in this step, which would allow me to create that additional negative line for the marketplace facilitator tax, which would be, the full total amount for that particular order, and pass it through as a negative amount.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's how we achieve that.
Right.
Sorry, the demonstration very theoretical because it's not something that we'd ever do. Well, we haven't done for Sage200 because it's you are the first guys who have asked us about this.
And then I'm guessing for the Tennessee tax, you would just replace marketplace facilitator with sales state tax.
Yeah. So exactly, and I was just thinking, how is this working? So for the first particular customer that we needed to do this, what we actually did was, yeah, so now this is a bit clearer. Where we need to charge sales tax is that we've got this in here. So each, if you've got Tennessee where you need to charge sales tax, if you've got, anything else, you would add that into this list, and then we would have the, that would be the sales tax. Otherwise, if we've got like a marketplace facilitator tax applied, then we'd use this logic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
In terms of it picking up the tax, I know sometimes with some of the orders, customers write the full state name, then they'll write the state code. I take it you can put something in that will recognise either, the right state down.
Yeah, that can be problematic. I think what we did, because our original customer where we did this, because I was involved intimately on it, we had that problem. So what we ended up doing was just saying, okay, if someone doesn't write TX and actually writes Texas, then we can still map it correctly.
Yeah.
So if we've got the 2-letter initial or the 5-letter name, then it'll still be mapped correctly.
I guess you just add kind of all the different scenarios that you might come across.
Yeah, I mean, if people sorry.
Is it case sensitive?
No, we can make it uncase sensitive, and I think that this isn't case sensitive in any case.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
So
I mean, most people will put just the two character state, but I have, we did have instances where people were entering in Texas into the
I would
state.
say every day in our reports we get people writing the full name. 99% of the orders is just the code, but there's always, I would say daily, there's always one in.
Yeah, sure.
Flagged up. And I guess if it didn't recognise it, it would flag up as an error, wouldn't it? So we would be able to look at that if it didn't match it, or.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it may fall through the gap, because if we haven't got a mapping, then it'd probably go back to a default setting or value, because you wouldn't want to have, every single permutation in this state lookup. You only want to have the values which make sense, where you need to charge sales tax, for example. Yeah.
I suppose what you could do, which would only be like a 5-minute job, is just check from Amazon what they're telling us we've had FBAs, and then check in here.
Yeah.
And then if there's a difference, that's when you would notice. And it's those small ones, which wouldn't be a huge job compared to what we're doing now.
Yeah. So effectively, we don't need to do anything with the orders in Amazon. It just pulls it through based on whatever
criteria
whatever we want to set up.
Yeah.
We don't have to pull off any reports or do anything like that.
No. So we're just going directly up to Amazon. We've got some criteria over what orders we will select. We can apply further filters to that. So, if we want to bring down only the FBA orders, we can do that. And then, it should really be 100% automated.
Yeah. Cool.
I probably asked this when we first spoke, but is it just a charge for the Amazon integration, or is it a charge per country of Amazon integration?
No, so our software has a perpetual license, so you'll buy the software outright, and then there's a 25% fee to keep it up to date. But you're not, with that, you're not restricted to just integrating a single marketplace. You could potentially integrate all of your marketplaces using a single license.
Yeah. And can we do that at any point?
Yeah.
So say we went into Amazon Australia at the beginning of next year, we could just add it in.
Correct.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So all you need to do, and we'll, if you wanted to go ahead, we'll give you instructions. So you'd add in the various details, for the new marketplace. And you may need to call us, just depends. And then edit.
I'm guessing it's just the API, Amazon API credentials that we need.
Exactly, yeah.
And we organize it through Amazon. Yeah.
Yeah. And then it's just a matter of selecting which Amazon store you want. If I want that, for example. And that will just pull in all of the orders for those stores.
Yeah. And if you connected, how would you stop it pulling the orders through straight away? Because you probably want to just test it somehow before you start pulling the orders through.
Yeah, so I mean, the way that we tackle a project is we'll install our software and we'll have you create a copy of your live Sage200 company or database. We will point the Amazon to that data. We'll point the integration to that particular company so that you can do some testing, make sure that everything's going okay. Once you're happy with that, then we point the integration to live, and then you go from that point. We just say, okay, we're going to import orders from, the 1st of January, for example.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah. And how quickly, if we were to go ahead, could this be implemented? What kind of timescales would you expect?
Yeah, I mean, we've got a lot of open projects on at the moment. So realistically, the earliest we could start would be mid-December.
Okay, no, that's fine.
Yeah. When would you be wanting to go to get everything up and running?
Wow. As soon as
okay, fine.
But yeah, mid-December.
And how long does it take?
Like the testing, they're getting the copy of obviously your software and things like that.
Yeah, I mean,
average kind of.
You're looking. It depends. Because you're already using Sage, this is not a new implementation. We're integrating to an existing Sage site. Realistically, like with testing, probably about 4 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah. But given that we're going over Christmas and New Year's, Yeah, it's going to take a bit more.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, we have shutdowns, and I'm sure you guys do as well. So.
Yep.
Probably not the best time to implement something as well.
No, it's usually not.
Can you remind me again of the costs? I've got a few figures written down, but I just wanted to check whether that included kind of your software.
Yeah, so I'm going to go to our website. Leah, did I give you some indicative costs?
Well, you gave me 1,300 for Amazon.
Oh yeah, that's it.
And then 1,000 for the configuration.
Yep, that sounds about right.
Yeah, and then I couldn't remember what the 25. There was a 25% charge for the yearly maintenance. I couldn't remember if that was off the integration.
Yeah, hang on. Let me just pick up that. When did I send that through?
Oh, you didn't send that through. You just told me on the call. Yeah.
Right. Okay. I thought I sent. Yeah. Okay. Right. So let me go to the Sage site. Okay. Pricing.
Yeah. No, you didn't send it. I've just checked through the emails.
Yeah. I couldn't find it. So, yeah, what you'd need is to just do the order download of Amazon orders into Sage200 would need, so the core product, one integration. You'd need the Sage200 connector, which is 260. You'd need the Amazon connector, which is 260 times 1.25. Whoops. Yeah, so the software is the Amazon connector, one integration, the Sage200 connector, one integration, iMan Core, one integration. That comes to about 1,050, and then there's 25% on top of that, which takes it up to the 1,300.
Yeah.
Times 1.25. Yeah. Then there's the £1,000 implementation cost on top of that.
Yeah.
So once you're up and running, if all you're doing was Amazon, then it's about £250, £260 per year.
And then you mentioned the support costs. You said they were agreed up front. Is that like per, like do you pay like per hour, so we could have like, I don't know, 50 hours a year or something like that? How does
Yeah, I mean, we could do that, or we could do it on an incident basis as well.
Yeah.
I mean, with the 25%, obviously, if there's something broken with our software, then we will, that's included in the software assurance cost. But if you want to start, if you've got a question around a particular order, and it's not anything to do with our software, it's just like a query, and we're going to spend time, then obviously that sits outside of the normal software assurance. So that falls under our support. So that's really done on we negotiate that with the client on a client by client basis. So we can do it with say 5 incidents and we'll charge you X amount, or we can I'd prefer not to do it in hours. It's usually on an incident basis that it works.
Yeah, because I guess one query might be a 5-minute thing and another one could be like a week.
Well, I won't say a week's worth. That doesn't fall under support if it's a week.
Yeah. Okay. No,
but it may take a couple of hours or something to look at something and to give you back like an informative answer. So that's a bit more of a support case, whereas something may be quite a quick one, or we might need to jump on with you to do some more training or to make a change. If you bring on a new marketplace, for example.
Yeah, and if I don't know, say you paid for like 20 incidents a year and you only use 10 of those, do you get like a reduction off the next year because you didn't use them all, or how does that work?
Yeah, we'd probably do that. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. We tend to roll the incidents over.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. Okay.
I can't think of anything else I was going to ask. Can you?
No. Big comment.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You mentioned you didn't integrate with BigCommerce, but you had a partner that does. Is that correct?
Yeah, sort of. So one of our partners Actually, the partner that's written the Magento connector for us and our WooCommerce connector, they did at one point write a BigCommerce connector for one of their customers. Now, I know that that was a number of years ago, and I know that they no longer have a relationship with that particular customer for whatever reason. I'm not privy to that. So there is a connector at some point that got developed which works with our software, but what sort of state it's in, whether it uses the current, it probably doesn't use the current BigCommerce API, so there'd have to be like a bit of a development task on our side to either bring our partner's connector to be compliant, or us just biting the bullet and writing a connector ourselves.
Who is your partner?
They're a company in the US called EC Internet.
But obviously you do eBay and Walmart and all of the...
Yeah, you can see that there. Yep.
And you don't support Microsoft Nav?
No, we don't. No.
Okay. No, that's fine. We're just checking. It's something we're thinking about, but
sure,
not too sure at this point. Probably a few years off.
Yeah.
Okay. We might support it by then.
Yeah, you never know.
No.
If you can send the recording over, because then if we do think of anything else, we can play it back to see if you've already covered it before, before reaching out again. And then I'll probably catch up next week with you, James, if that's okay.
That's fine.
Because we've got to speak to obviously a few other people and stuff around the cost and like that, and get everything signed off. So yeah, if you send that over as soon as you can, then I can touch base next week with you.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, but yeah, really appreciate that. It was really helpful.
Brilliant. Thank you.
All right, guys, I'll leave it there because I've actually got to jump on another call now. But if you got any questions, then just drop me an email as well.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you, Jane.
All right, cheers, guys. Bye.
Bye.